So, this is the second video of us working on this platformer. And while we got a somewhat decent score back in the game jam, it's still not very good. So, there's still a lot to work on. The biggest problem I'd say is the movement. And it's a platformer, so of course the movement is the most important. And this just doesn't feel that great. And I've played Celeste, and 100% Celeste, no less. So I should kind of know to a certain extent what platformers like this should feel like. The thing was, when I was programming the movement of this game, actually when I was copying the movement from another game I was working on, the movement there was just using a set of velocity when the character was changing directions, instead of gradually changing the velocity from one point to another. It would just flip-flop. And I didn't think this was a problem, but I realized after replaying a bit of Celeste, the reason why Celeste felt so good to play, one of the reasons at least, was that the velocity was changing like with accelerations and decelerations in mind. And this would only be recognizable when Madeline was, especially when she was interacting with things that altered her trajectory or movement or whatnot. And so I took that and then I implemented it into my own game. It surprisingly didn't take that long, especially since I was essentially reprogramming the fundamental way that it works. But in either way, I did it and it actually felt so much better. I was surprised by how smoother it felt, which also made me want to do the same thing for the jumping mechanic, but that failed miserably. So yeah, that I decided to just kick that towards the future. Like, I'm not going to do that for now. But the second glaring issue of the game was its lack of sound. So if you could see in this little report card that we got from the game jam, you can see that everything else has an actual decent score, above 3 out of 5, which is pretty amazing. But you can see here that the music and sound is like, I'm surprised it didn't even just get a 1, because there's nothing. The project that I put up for Game Jam was completely silent. So of course we have to fix that. And I was thinking of going to Jason or asking a friend of mine to do the music for me, but what do you know? I have a guitar right here. I took my guitar and I recorded some stuff, sound effects, chords, or whatever, and then I downloaded FL Studio for free, of course. So it took me only an hour to come up with this very, very simple, like, 1-chord loop. It was kind of ambient style stuff, like stuff that I listen to, but whatever. It was okay. I put it into the game, and yeah. Other than that, we decided to also create a brand new level. The previous level, the level that was uploaded to the game jam, was pretty dog shit. It had kind of no concept at all, so we decided to completely redo it and come up with actual concepts for the level, how each section of the level is going to play out. And so here we can see the drawing. It's a really shit drawing, but these two drawings are kind of what I imagined, or like the concept of this level. The concept, it was just a basic layout of what each level would be like. We have this upper level, of course, and then this lower level. I really liked the maze idea. Eventually, we ended up with this. We kind of wanted to add upgrades into the level, and the first one that we decided to implement into this was the float mechanics. Kind of like the gliding mechanics of basically every single open world game these days. Adding the float mechanic itself was pretty easy. I only did that after designing most of this new level concept. The one I had the most fun, I guess, doing was the little maze part underground. So of course I had a big cat do a bunch of the pixel art, which mostly consisted of new tile sets and new backgrounds. This little maze part was kind of fun because it's a maze, but it's also not like a typical maze, because in a typical maze you are looking at it from the top down, or you're looking at it from a first person view. But a side view maze was kind of something that I've never really seen before. At least there might be some side view mazes out there, but at least I've never seen them or played through them. Because of that, I also had to later on zoom in the camera whenever the player entered the maze, but that's besides the point. There's also this really cool background that a big cat sent me for the underground, and I was actually very tempted to try implementing a proper parallax background. It's super annoying. It took me a while to figure it out, but it works okay. There's still some problems, but it works okay. The second part, of course, the second part of the level was where the player has to use the float mechanic. And the best thing I could come up with was you basically going through trees in order to get to the end of the level. It's trees, so it's pretty easy to implement. I just had to add in a couple new layers to the tile set in order to create like background tree trunks and whatever, and that was it. Finally, we wanted to add in something that is of a similar concept to the strawberries in Celeste. I know we're taking a lot of inspiration from Celeste, but it's a great game, so anyways, so these would be scraps instead of strawberries, and these scraps would be used. You'd have to collect them in order to get these upgrades. So, for example, the float mechanic. The float mechanic would only unlock if you collect a certain level of scraps. The scraps are dotted all over the level. I've put in these little pockets in the level that are specifically made for you to discover in order to get these scraps. I guess these scraps kind of incentivize the player to explore the level more than just go through it. So like, even if you go through the maze, if you want to get the float upgrade, then you still have to go through the maze in order to, get the mechanic to move forward. And I completely glossed past this, but also a big cat made a bunch of great illustrations for the intro and death screens of the game. That's basically all that I updated in the game. I put it up on itch, and so the new version of the game that you can play on itch is this newer, improved level. There's still some more stuff to fix. I didn't really add in the sound effects yet, even though I recorded a bunch of sounds on my guitar. I didn't really finish all of the sound effects, so the sound effects are still empty. But anyways, definitely going to work on this further. So yeah.